Usually for Hal and I, our spoons in a social situation will last about 6 hours. After those 6 hours are up, we either need some time to decompress before we go back out there, or food. Eating is a good coping mechanism. So, yeah, spoons are very important. It's a really good concept because it helps to kind of make it a concrete, something that you can look at and say, you know, I'm just out of spoons today. I went to for example, today, I went to a seminar on student teaching, and that was stressful. So that took a lot of spoons. And then doing an interview, while enjoyable, takes several spoons because, you know, it's still fairly social. But what helps is having a little bit of time in between to recharge and kind of just decompress about it. But if you're neurotypical, it doesn't wear on you quite so much. So you don't have that number of spoons. You have as many spoons as you need. You can push through it. Even if you're tired, you'll push through it and you'll get done and you'll go home. But if we run out of spoons, we run the risk of having a meltdown or just being really upset. So.
Oh gosh, if I run out of spoons, like I'm in a public place, it's bad. It's like everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on? You okay?" And I'm like, don't do me. You know, you just can't. You just can't even.
Or odd.
So that's just one way, you know, to help with coping. What are some of the other things you do? I've heard about shotgun earmuffs,
Yes.
lavender. Speak to some of the ways that you can cope with either an imminent meltdown or a meltdown that you're having. And I'd like to just welcome these guys to the stream.
Hi, girl. Hi. How you doing, girl?
Bunch of people. Love you guys. Thanks so much for joining us. We're talking autism here. We're getting all kinds of questions. Put your questions in the chat for Hal and Liz. Would be happy to ask them. We've already had the sex question, but we could do it again.
I mean, it's whatever.
And we have two more giveaways to go here, so I'm going to let Liz take the floor.
Okay, so
Or Hal, both
I'll
of you.
start off and I'll let him talk after.
What are we talking about again?
Like coping mechanisms and sensory coping. So, like for me, for example, I used the examples earlier of hearing being super sensitive and my sense of smell. So what I can do is with those sensitivities, I can replace the bad stuff with good stuff, and that helps me cope. So if everything's just too loud, I have a pair of shotgun earmuffs, and they provide compression, and they do a lot of noise canceling. Thanks, honey. Thank you for the demonstration. I wasn't sure everyone understood compression. But yeah, so it provides a compression, which is just really relaxing. Again, with people with sensory issues, it's like having a big hug. So yeah, it compresses and then it does the whole noise canceling thing, and it takes away.
Where can you get one of those,
Walmart,
Liz?
for like $10.
Wow.
Yeah, you just go to the sporting goods section. Sometimes they have them in pink. Sometimes, I mean, most of the time they have them in black. They have a couple different colors, and then you can go online and just do a search for shotgun earmuffs. They're everywhere, especially in the South. So yeah, shotgun earmuffs are an excellent resource. And then I started using lavender essential oils because I'm sensitive to smell. And not only is it the aromatherapy that relaxes you.
I just rolled in.
I'm very happy for you. But it also is replacing something bad with something good, and that helps a lot. What else? What do you do?
I like the weight blanket.
Talk about it.
It's a blanket. It's heavy.
So basically, for people with anxiety or PTSD, weight blankets are just excellent resources. They're usually, I think the one we have is about 20 pounds. and you just put it on and you lay down, and it's almost like a deep tissue massage. And it's really good at relaxing you, especially if you're on the brink of a meltdown, like you had mentioned.
So, like, what about these earmuffs? There's something about earmuffs that help? Or downbeats?
Yes, downbeats. They're like earplugs. So they go into your ears. And they do a similar concept as the shotgun earmuffs. They're just a lot more subtle. So you can wear them in social situations. The only downfall is it doesn't give you that same compression, but you can wear them all day, and it'll get rid of most of the background noise so that you can actually concentrate on what someone's saying. Because if you're very sensitive to sound, you're hearing everything else, and sometimes it seems like you're not listening to the person talking to you because you're so distracted by everything else.
I see. It's funny, but a lot of these things you guys are talking about would just be awesome for the everyday person.
They would be. I think that neurotypical people without any sort of mental disorder or illness, could really learn a lot from autistic coping mechanisms, stuff like that. I don't see any reason why coping mechanisms and sensory aids should be reserved exclusively for people who are neurodiverse. So yeah, I definitely think that the everyday person could benefit.
Honestly, if I don't eat, I crash really hard. So like, I have to eat, and like
That's a good coping mechanism.
Like, and like, I know it sounds silly, but it's like you can ask Elizabeth, like, if I don't eat, like, it's bad. I just shut down, and I'm no fun at all.
Well, that's true for most people too. It just leads me to believe that we're way more alike than we are different.
I think that's a good point, but I do think it's important to be careful to understand that, like, when being able to verbally describe it really understates the reality of it. So,
I see what you're saying.
So while I think a lot of people do so much othering that it seems like we're a completely different type of person, I think it's also very important to understand that when I say I don't like smells, I don't mean like, oh, it's just unpleasant or a strong smell can make me sick. It's that even a subtle whiff of perfume or cigarette smoke can make me physically ill. Yeah,
I see. It's more to the extreme.
It's like if you take life and you dial it up to like a 20, and it's almost too much input happening. Or a lot of people, neurotypical people, have issues with sudden changes in their environment or in their routine, but they get over it. They adapt. You go on with your life. But with autistics, a lot of the time, there's no going on with it. It's just, that's the end of it. You can't, and you try to adapt, you try to go with it like everyone tells you to do, but your entire day...
You get hyperfixated on it.
Yeah, your entire day is just screwed up because this is the routine, this is how it should always go.
I see.
And so yeah, it's just that everything is affected a lot more for the most part than it would with someone without autism.
Interesting. That's a great way to point it out. What's so
you'll
funny?
see when it comes up on the stream. Well, that's like, and a lot of that has to do with special interests too. Like, we get hyperfixated. Like, well, a lot of autistic people get like hyperfixated on something, which often becomes a special interest. But like, hyperfixation is a thing that we deal with on a routine basis. Like, I get hyperfixated on, like, last year I got hyperfixated with Magic the Gathering, and I spent $2,000 in 1 year on Magic the Gathering. And
so it can really affect your wallet
if
too.
if you're not careful with it.
Like streaming, we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a wonderful setup. If anybody, um, you know, has been watching him, you watch him now. I don't know if you can show people through the stream right now. You've put
Yeah, I have
pictures
some on
out,
Twitter.
but it's amazing. And please follow him. Check out his stream. He's just hugely entertaining. We love too when Liz joins him. And sometimes Hal will sing. Maybe we'll get you to sing a song for us tonight too. But he's got all sorts of cool stuff going on. I was wondering if you guys could give us some of the funny stuff that you do like with other autistic people. You have different names for
I'll let you take
those
that one.
people who abuse it.
Oh, I had
Abuse
this
the,
one student who was autistic, and he was kind of a dick. We call him an asshole, like an Asperger's, like a kid who's like an Asperger's, but he's just kind of an asshole. We just call him an asshole.
Oh my gosh, what are some of the other names you guys use? Smart
Yeah,
ass?
Yeah,
or
smart
something
ass.
like
I'm a
that?
smart ass for sure.
You really are. And that's just someone who sometimes, a lot of the times, may be conscious that their knee-jerk reaction is to take something literally, and they'll take it literally, and then they look like a
Get the
smartass.
damn goal.
It's pretty self-explanatory.
So there are people out there actually like trying to pass themselves off as autistic or Asperger's
Some people,
to get out of work.
Yeah.
Beat the shit out of that person.
some people will say, well, I have Asperger's, and they may not, but they say it so that they can get away with being a jerk. And that doesn't help because it feeds into a stereotype that we know that we're being jerks, even if we don't. So, if you've ever claimed to have Asperger's and you don't have it and you're doing it just to get away,
I don't know who you are.
please don't do it.
I don't know what
Just,
you want.
just be a decent human.
If you're
and
looking
don't-
for ransom, I can tell you, I don't have any money.
Because people who say that and they're not actually autistic, they do a lot of damage because they get to use the excuse, but they don't have to deal with the reality of having autism.
Yeah.
Isn't there ADAR
That's
also?
pretty sad.
Oh yes, there's this thing called ADAR, and it's basically like autism radar. And Hal and I both really have it where usually we can look at someone and maybe have a couple of interactions with them and know
We just know they're autistic.
they're on the spectrum, whether they know it or not. And if we talk to them for a while, we'll usually hear, oh yeah, I'm autistic, or it runs in my family, but I've never been diagnosed, or something like that. And that's when our ADAR goes off.
It's weird.
That's pretty funny. Wow. All right. I think it's time for another giveaway.
Oh, let's
I'm
give
gonna
it
be
away.
rich.
Give away my soul.
Let's do it. Let's give away a pair of control freaks. Let's do that. Anybody have you guys have like a good method to do
You could
that,
just
or should
use
we
the
do the
Nightbot
numbers?
giveaway command.
I don't know if you want to figure that out, Roy. I have not. Can you do it, Hal?
Oh, it doesn't.
Who doesn't want a pair of control freaks? They're red. They're really cool looking. They're the FPS Freak Inferno.
If you go into Nightbot, there's a way you can go into it and just activate the giveaway there, just like generate giveaway.
Yeah, I'm gonna put something
I
out
can
on
detect
Twitter.
awesome. That's
If
awesome.
you can.
Yeah, and honestly, Roma, a lot of times, autism's a lot more common than you think. A lot of people often say, well, you know, there wasn't all this autism and all this ADD, ADHD stuff when I was growing up. And it's like, well, like our resources and understanding of it are a lot better, and we're able to find it.
Or actually diagnose